Saxophonist Mindi Abair is here to play an exclusive set just for us. Plus, she'll discuss her new album with her band, The Bone Shakers, and her latest venture started with her husband, Eric Guerra, the Reserve Tastings Wine Company. I'm Brian Zimmerman. This is the Jazziz Last Call. All right, and once again, before we get started, I just wanted to let you know about a new album from ECM Records that I think you will really like. This one is by a trio of Carla Bley, Andy Shepard, and Steve Swallow. A more cohesive trio in jazz does not exist. This is a beautiful album. The main component is just a stunning suite. It's a nice balance of composition and improvisation. You can learn more about this beautiful album for yourself at ecmrecords.com. Wanted to also let you know about our new issue. This would be the summer 2020 issue. This issue has already been mailed to subscribers. It should be in your mailbox or hopefully on your coffee table. But all of the content from this issue is also available on our website, jazziz.com. You will need a digital subscription to read it. However, we are offering a special subscription rate to Jazziz Last Call viewers right now. For just 99 cents per month for 3 months, you can receive unlimited digital access to all of these great stories, plus everything else on the Jazziz website. Plus, we'll enroll you to receive a complimentary print issue come fall, our fall 2020 issue coming out in September, which is all about the art of the album, listening to albums, producing albums, collecting albums, album cover art. It's a really cool issue. And like I say, you sign up now, 99 cents per month, 3 months. You can read all the web articles from this issue, plus a new issue will arrive on your doorstep come September. Wanted to also remind you that I don't have to be the only one asking questions to our special guest tonight, Mindi Abair. I invite you to do the same. Just say hi, submit a question in the comments on Facebook or YouTube, and we will get to them on air. All right, as I mentioned, my guest today is Mindi Abair, a two-time Grammy Award nominated saxophonist whose playing has been featured in American Idol, The Late Show with David Letterman, The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, and she was on tour with Aerosmith. She and her band, The Bone Shakers, have won multiple Independent Blues Awards, and her latest album with that group, No Good Deed, is out right now. So too is her book, How to Play Madison Square Garden, a guide to stage performance. She is here with her husband, Eric Guerra, and hey, this is the last call. Let's go one last round with Mindi and Eric. You there, guys?
Hey, cheers.
Cheers to you. One thing we like to do, our viewers know, one thing we like to do at the beginning of each show is a toast to some place, something, some idea. So who, what, where, when, why are we honoring with this glass?
You know what? We're honoring being together. I think we're honoring being together and finding our way through all this. We as musicians, this has been a rough couple months. And I say we can drink to being together hopefully soon. And we just miss everyone. So here's to you guys. We get to hang with you for a night.
Cheers to that. A nice clink there. All right. Now, my drink of choice for these last calls is a Manhattan. I like to pour a nice Manhattan, little rye whiskey, some sweet vermouth, some Luxardo cherries. But, you know, sometimes I just have a craving for some wine, guys. And I love music. And I understand your latest venture is the perfect thing for a person like me who loves jazz and who loves wine. So what is the Reserve Wine Tasting Company, reservewine.com?
All right, well, I'll start off, but you're going to finish it off. Look, I've always loved wine, and I've played a lot of music with my band. That's just been a blast. Music is my life. I've spent my life making music, not wine, but I married this guy. And his life has been wine. And he's been, the guy who's run a bunch of wineries for 1 million years. So, here I am in this kind of perfect scenario that I get to play music and I get to hang out and drink amazing wine. So what we do, we're home and we'll drink a bottle of wine and he'll open up something awesome. And I think, you know what? I know what music pairs with this. This is some big, amazing, strident red wine. I'm going to put soul music with this. This is going to be Otis Redding, and it's going to be Sam Cooke and Booker T. Jones. And that's what we're listening to tonight. and it makes the wine better. So we've had this, you know, kind of in our little family, and we figured if we liked to do it, that maybe other people would.
Yeah.
So we started our own company where he finds amazing wines and we brand them, and I come up with cool artwork with either me or my friends, and we put it out with a cool playlist that is music that, you know, pairs with the wine that you're supposed to drink with the wine, listen and drink, listen loudly and drink. So that's how our company came to be.
I love it. Listen loudly, drink boldly. That's a beautiful thing. And if people want to join, because let's face it, jazz cocktails, they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
If people want to join, how can they do so?
Well, you go to reservetastings.com and you'll get all the information there. The wine shop we opened up just for the pandemic because, you know, we were off the road. So we had some samples that we had a little extra. So you could have those, but normally we sell out of every wine that we release. And the special thing about this is that you can't find these wines anywhere else in the world. There are friends of mine that are winemakers or wineries that have a little extra that people don't know when you're in the business. Just like the music business, it's very complex, but it's very small and everybody knows each other. So in the wine business, $80 Chardonnays, $100 Cabernet wineries don't sell everything that they have all the time. And they have this little extra left over, 20, 30 cases. And I go in and kind of scoop them up and we buy them when they're perfect. The vintage is perfect, the wine is perfect. And Mindi says, okay, this style of wine is complex. This wine is high level acidity and fruit notes. This wine is more earthy, and she creates this incredible artwork and names the wine. So all the wines are super high end, meaning they're about $35 on our club, but they're $80, $100 wines when you taste them. And this is a great example. This is a GSM, a Grenache Syrah Mourvedre blend, and Mindi came up with the concept of harmony. Because when you hear musicians that harmonize perfectly together, like the Little River Band or
Crosby, Stills
and Nash, they all sound perfect when they're excellent separate, but when they're together, they're excellent. They're even better, and we all love them for that. So this is where this one wine came out of, and the wine itself is as good as any GSM you'd get in the Rhone Valley in France. So,
it's amazing.
So it's definitely a higher end wine company and a higher end wine brand. But that's what we drink at home. So we wanted to make sure that it was authentic to what we love. So
I always figure, you know, we put on our festivals. I put on my Mindi Abair's Punta Gorda Wine and Jazz, Wine and Music Festival, And, you know, I just don't want people going in and ordering hot dogs and Coors Light. Like they're listening to great music and amazing musicians. I want them to drink some good stuff too.
Or you get a wine brand that's got like a celebrity name on it and the wine's not that good. You know, we wanted to make sure that it was as good as anything you would ever have. And we believe that it is. So
that's awesome. No, and you guys are obviously, you know, experts. And it's so nice in this age of algorithms where, you know, a computer tries to figure out your taste to have two experts kind of curating these unique wine and music packages for you. So this is very cool. It's a very,
if we wouldn't drink it at home, we wouldn't offer it to anybody else. So
it's nice. I don't have to be the wine expert. He can be that. And I can be the music expert.
And
so
the art expert,
it's pretty
authentic.
It's pretty awesome that we can just be ourselves, and we have a lot of fun doing it. And it works well at concerts. We usually, you know, do like a thing before each concert when we used to play concerts for people that, you know, we'll do a wine and music tasting beforehand.
But we also drink, to your point about what you're drinking. I'm a big bourbon fan and she's a big tequila fan. So, you know, we go other places as well.
We're not mad.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Mindi, when you just want to unwind, relax, you know, you put that Otis Redding album on, you put that Sam Cooke record on, what wine do you usually reach for?
Oh, my.
Put you on the spot there.
I know that answer.
Yeah.
Because I can tell, because it's what we usually drink whenever you have an option. It's.
Oh, well, you're talking about our wine, Soul.
Oh, no, I'm talking about Bubbles.
Oh, Bubbles.
Yeah, I'm not even talking about our wine.
We just did a virtual tasting. We do virtual tastings every once in a while. You should sign up on our website, Reserve Tastings, because we do these cool things. But yeah, I do love champagne.
Oh, yeah.
So
she's champagne fan.
I'll grab some champagne
Yeah.
out and just have a blast and get crazy.
I know we're
Beautiful.
supposed to talk about our wine, but when she wants wine, champagne is what comes
Well,
out.
it's always a special occasion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoiled me.
It's always a special occasion. Very cool. Well, I am going to be sipping my Manhattan here and pretending it's wine. But Mindi, you've got the horn. We would love, I would certainly love if we could hear some playing. Would that be cool?
Absolutely.
I'm going to slide over here and have some wine while she plays.
Okay, you
There
drink.
we go. We'll drink together.
I'll play. I'll give you the bottle because I know you know what to do with that.
Well, I drank most of my glass already, so I need.
You need a new glass.
Yeah.
I was thinking of what to play. We just recorded a new record, and I've got about 12 records of stuff to choose from. I'm going to choose a song that I recorded on our Live in Seattle record, and I did it with Me and the Bone Shakers. But this is a song that I've played live for a bunch of years, and it's a jazz standard. George Gershwin wrote it, Summertime. But we're going into summertime, and it's just been in my head lately. We've been shelter in place in California for a million weeks now. What's it been?
13.
13?
Weeks. Yeah.
13 going on a million. Yeah.
And still not open.
No end in sight. I know
Yeah.
a lot of the country is opening up, and there's restaurants and everything. Not one shop is open where we live. And so it's been this crazy thing. I'll go out to my porch and lay out in the sun, but it made me think summertime. So I want to play you guys just a little bit of that little solo sax a cappella.
Beautiful.
I'll get to my
Summertime.
band when that's allowed.
Yeah. Beautiful. Just beautiful. You sound great, full-bodied, spirit forward. Yeah, I love it. Thank you. That was a beautiful rendition of Summertime. Your sound is just incredible, even from 5,000 miles away over the internet. The soul comes through. Mindi, so I'd love to know, for the sax nerds out there, the jazz nerds out there, and believe me, you're talking to one. What's your setup there? What are you playing on?
I love that. Okay, this is a Yamaha Custom Z, silver plated. Awesome. Nice. This is an amazing horn, and for all of the Selmer geeks out there, which I played a Selmer Mark VI for a long time, a silver plated, old, very rare Mark VI. I went into Yamaha because I heard Phil Woods was playing Yamahas, and I had to hear what Phil Woods would switch to. So I spent probably 8 hours in the Yamaha little room that they put you in to try horns. And I just kept putting my 6 against their horns. And I walked out with this horn completely I couldn't believe that it was better. And it was. And this horn is just so incredible. Just throughout the range of the instrument, it's even, it's fat, it's, just the tonality is even from top to bottom. It rocks. And I can go out there. My band is like a rock band. We just don't stand in a corner and play. We are all over the place. And I can beat this guy up, and it's amazing how this horn just gives. So it makes me better.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, Mindi, you and I have something in common, is that we are both alums of the great Florida All-State Jazz Ensemble. For me, that was a career ceiling. That was my zenith. For you, it was obviously a stepping stone onto bigger and better things. But I'd like to take it back there to the beginning for you and ask about, who you were listening to, who was kind of giving shape to your sound back then, as a kid, learning to play the sax, shedding. Who were you listening to? What were you spinning?
I love that question. And I love that you were in Florida All-State Jazz Band.
That's right.
You know what? I came from this little Christian school, and jazz was looked down on. And all I wanted to do was be in the jazz band. I had looked at Florida All-State Jazz Band, and I just thought, okay, the symphonic guys, they're very talented, and, girls. But the jazz band, that's where the cool kids, were.
So true. So I can vouch for that.
I actually gave up. I'm just going to give you a little side story to what you asked. I gave up because at a certain point, I just thought, well, I've got to audition for this Florida All-State Jazz Band. And I'm this 17-year-old, little girl from St. Petersburg, Florida. And when I really sit down and think about it, I don't have a chance in hell at getting this. So I kind of gave up for a while. And I remember my dad coming in, and he's like, well, I've heard a lot of saxophone in the past week or so, but now I don't hear any saxophone. And I was just like, look, let's be real. Like, the little girl from St. Pete isn't going to get Florida All-State Jazz Band. That's like, there's 50 guys out there who are going to eat my lunch. And why even try? And he's like, all right, you can give up. And I didn't like that. So I didn't give up. I went in and auditioned. And I got first chair alto sax. And I came back, and I was just like, Dad, oh my God, I got it. And it meant the world to me, And my dad was like, what, sometimes it's not the most talented people that get what they want. Sometimes it's the people that really go out there and go after it and try and just put themselves out on the line. Even if they don't think they have a chance, you do have a chance. You don't know what you're up against. And I just thought that was the best advice. And it was such an amazing thing for me to do, to be in Florida All-State Jazz Band, that I just look back on that, and it was incredible. And to answer your question, I wasn't listening to anyone cool. I was a total rocker kid. I was listening, nothing cool in jazz. I just didn't know what to listen to. I was listening to Aerosmith and the Rolling Stones, and I wanted to be Tina Turner, and I wanted to sing like the girls from Heart. And I kind of found that voice on my saxophone, but I didn't really learn until I went to college who Miles Davis was, and who John Coltrane was, and who Cannonball Adderley was, and Wayne Shorter. And all of a sudden my life just took a left turn, and I just thought, oh my God. And I immersed. And
Cool.
Somewhere in the middle. I'm very
somewhere in the middle, which is awesome. And you know what? There's a kindred spirit there. I've heard it said that even those old trad jazz guys, the King Olivers of Louis Armstrong, they were the original punk rockers because, people thought what they were doing, that was rebel spirit, So yeah. There's definitely some kinship there. And we should mention you went to Berkeley. And yeah, that was going to be my question. I love to ask people about their teachers because teachers are the unsung heroes of jazz. And so was there a particular teacher or a course at Berkeley that just kind of made things click for you?
You know what? I went to Berkeley and I was so young, and I just knew I wanted to play. I had gone to my first year of college was at University of North Florida. And they had started a jazz program there that was insane. I mean, they had taken the teachers from North Texas State University, Rich Madison, and Bill Prince was my sax teacher. And they created this program out of dust, and I was their first year of it. And he gave me a full ride. He knew my parents didn't have any money. He knew, I was just young and really wanted to play. And what I learned at that school was so much. I learned the basics of what theory was and what, I just knew I loved to play, but they really taught me what it was to think about it and to immerse in that psychology of what jazz really is. I learned something I didn't think I'd learn though, which is that trad jazz was not my calling. It wasn't what I listened to all the time. And I thought it was an incredible tradition, but it wasn't where I saw myself going. And I saw myself going in a more pop or rock kind of way. And what I saw in Berkeley College of Music was that it was a more wide open space, that it was, hey, play in this jazz ensemble, but then play in this rock band, and then go sing in this country band and go play in this funk band. I ate that up. And I started taking saxophone lessons with Joe Viola, who was a complete hero of mine. I bought his books, and I was just a total dork for, his stuff. So I started taking with Joe, and every time I walked into his office, he would say, "Have you started your own band yet?" And he was like a Yoda of the saxophone. I mean, he was, the guy who would teach you the art of the saxophone. Right.
The technique, the craft work. Yeah.
Yeah.
And here he is pushing this band leader role on you. Oh.
But he really said, you come from a different place.
Yeah.
I don't want you to become the next David Sanborn. Because at that point, I had found David Sanborn, and he was like a missing link for me.
Yeah.
He was this guy who loved
a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. Rock and pop, and played for Bowie and James Taylor, but yet had that jazz tradition and played the saxophone like a rock star. And I just thought, I understand that. That makes sense to me. But he said, don't be the next David Sanborn. Don't be the next Cannonball Adderley. Don't try and be Coltrane. Go take what you've grown up with and create the next you. And you can only do that by starting your own band and finding it. So I did that. And what a gift to have someone not to say to me, practice your scales or play the tradition, but to say to say to your student, don't play the tradition, find you and find the best you. And that's your chance at being happy and being successable. And I struggled with it. I would dress like the guys because I figured I should be one of them for a while. But there really was a point where I kind of gave in and went, wait, I like to wear makeup, and I like to, dress up, and I like this kind of music, and I'm just going to do it. And so I really think that there was a point where I gave in and I started to be successful. And I think what a great lesson Joe Viola gave me. He's not
just
with
by
us
being
anymore.
true to yourself. Yeah, it is an important lesson. I am the father of 2 daughters, the oldest of which is only 3, but she loves to sing. She loves music. And in browsing your site, I came across this phrase. It's on a lot of your merch, T-shirts, even on a bottle of wine, I think. What is it? Plays pretty good for a girl.
Yeah.
Pretty good for a girl, which is a phrase that you have owned. And I'm curious, I mean, you must have met some of that resistance in these jazz programs, which, like you said, it's the guys. It's, was that the case? Did you meet that attitude a lot?
You know what? I think that, people would come up to me after shows and they'd look at me and go, wow, that was pretty good. I mean, you're pretty good for a girl. And they meant it so great. They meant it, in such a great way. But, as a woman, you're going, okay, we can dig ourselves out of this, right? I mean, at one point, maybe someone's not going to care if you're a woman or a man or gay or straight or black or white, that maybe it's just a level playing field. And if you've got something to say as an artist, whether it's traditional or contemporary or pushing the boundaries, whatever way, that it's viable. And we're getting there. We're totally getting there. But I wrote the song Pretty Good for a Girl because it was a tongue-in-cheek story about people coming up to me and like, you can be just going and playing your heart out and doing all this stuff and taking over the world. But then someone comes up and goes, that's pretty good for a girl.
Yeah.
So my band took it and just made this complete anthem out of it.
I love it.
And Joe Bonamassa sat in with us and just took it to the next level. My little 4-minute tongue-in-cheek became just this 8-minute, back and forth with me and Joe Bonamassa. But I'm proud of that song. And I love that women come up to me every night and just say it's meaningful to them and that they've gone through that too. And, this is a time of kind of standing together and being together, making each other stronger. It's not to down the men at all. I think we as women, we have to stand with each other and uplift and celebrate each other too. So I want it to be all, I'm the hippie girl. I want it to be all love and peace.
Me too. Excellent. Mindi, the flip side of that, of course, is the great Steve Tyler quote. After a show, people come up to him and say, forget you, Steve Tyler. I want to know who that sax player is. Tell me about linking up with Aerosmith. How'd that happen?
You know what? I got the call from Don Was to play on American Idol. And he knew that, I was one of the kind of few more rock leaning or blues leaning saxophonists. A lot of us lean towards jazz or, a more traditional background. So he called me and just said, hey, I want to do old time rock and roll. Come out and rock out. And I think 26 million people watch the show every night. I think it might be a cool thing.
Yeah.
He said that very nonchalantly. And so I went on the show and did it. And it was such a high. It was so amazing. But Steven Tyler, that first night I went on and played, he didn't say something about the artist. We finished the song and I was like, yeah. And I walked off stage and he goes, forget you. Who's your sax player? And I just was like, what? So we became, friends backstage. We'd talk here and there, hey, those pants are cool, things like that.
Yeah.
But literally the last day of American Idol, I wasn't scheduled to play and I got a call from Steven Tyler and I didn't know he had my phone number and he was just, hey, what are you doing? It's time. Time is running out. We got to do this. I had no idea what he was talking about, but Aerosmith had just put out a new record and he wanted me to go on tour with them. And he wanted me to sing and play sax. And they hadn't had a sax player since 1973. So it was a hard sell for the guys. And he was just like, I want you to come in and just do your thing. And I want this to be bigger than life. And
that's awesome.
No to Steven Tyler. I mean,
you can, yeah. And his cool pants. No, absolutely. You can.
Yeah. Some things are just cool. So, I know that most sax players would probably say that their dream gig would be, playing in Miles Davis's band or playing, you know, with John Coltrane or something like that. And that's amazing. But my pedigree growing up would say that my dream would be playing with Bruce Springsteen, who I got the chance to play with one night, or playing with Aerosmith or the Stones. So that was pretty amazing for me. It was just, you know, you were on 11 every moment, and it taught me a lot. Taught me a lot about giving. My next few records after touring with Aerosmith, I really worked to just play with more abandon, to give more of myself, to write songs that allowed me to expand and grow and not be just in this box.
Yeah.
And I loved it, and I'll give them full credit.
Yeah, because your first album, it's always
the same. Wow.
Yeah, and Never the Same. That it was a lot of vocals, you know, predominantly vocals, right?
Yeah.
So was it these experiences that kind of kicked into gear? I mean, you said, "Damn it, I want to play more sax. I want to own up to this."
You know what? I really, I've gone back and forth my whole life with singing and playing sax, and I've loved both of them. And there are certain records that I write more lyrics, and there are certain records that I write more melodies. And I usually know when I write a song, whether it's a sax song or whether it's something I'm going to sing. So I've gone back and forth with different things. We just finished a record right before this shelter in place thing went in. We finished probably 95% of it. And it's half and half. It's half vocals, it's half saxophone. I'm not sure if it's going to come out later this year or if it's going to come out next year, because the world's a crazy place right now.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's what I had to say right now. So I feel like Always and Never the Same, which was my first record, I was very much in that space. I had toured with the Backstreet Boys.
That's right.
And I had been on the road with Mandy Moore, and I was really in this pop mindset, and I was writing a lot of words. So it was very much a pop record with very little saxophone, but I just went back to my roots.
Yeah.
And I had Bud Harner from Verve Records come up to me at a concert I was doing, and he was like, "If you ever want to do a sax record, I'm all over that. I would sign you in a heartbeat." And I just thought, okay, that's kind of what's in my heart right now. That's where I was headed anyway. And I said, when I get off the road with the Backstreet Boys, I'm going to send you some music. I got to finish this next tour. So I did, and I sent him music, and he signed me, and we were in the studio within a month and a half, and it was a blast. So that became my first record for Verve, which was It Just Happens That Way.
That's right. Awesome. And, you know, like all the great saxophonists, your Ben Websters, your Coleman Hawkins, your Lester Youngs, they often think of themselves as vocalists. You know, they are singing through these horns. And, you know, you play the way, you know, just like you said, Joan Jett, a Cyndi Lauper, that was your music. Those were your singers. So it's you know, it only makes sense that you would convey that through your horn.
I think that a lot of great melody players, whether it's guitar or saxophone, I talked to a lot of people, and we were influenced by singers. I was influenced by Stevie Wonder. I would play along to his records. I would play along to Tina Turner's records. And great vocalists, really, that phrasing gives a saxophone something. Ricky Lee Jones, she sang like a horn player. She would do her vocal harmonies like horn sections. And I just thought, wow. And so I probably learned more from singers over the years than horn players, although, you know, you got to give these guys the credit, the Cannonballs and the Coltranes and Sanborn, for being my beautiful missing link.
Awesome. Well, hey, you know, I can talk about it all day, but you've got the horn. Like I say, again, Mindy, would it be possible to hear another tune?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right on.
I'm going to play you a song that's one of the most requested songs. It's not my newest song. It's not any of that. It's a song that I love to play live. And I always ask people when we're in concert to put their lighters in the air. Because, you know, when I grew up going to concerts, it was always that. If you loved being at a concert, you had your hands in the air, you had your lighter in the air. So
now it's the phone screens, right? Not quite the same, but
now it's the cell phone with your light on, right?
Yeah.
So I want you guys to do this. Pretend that even though you're in your living room, that you're in an arena somewhere. So this is very different with the full band, but with just me, this is Bloom.
Awesome. All right. Just awesome. Awesome, Mindi. Thank you. I want to ask next about the new album, about the new book. But first, I just need to do two things. First, I need to remind everybody watching that, hey, I don't have to be the only one asking questions. If you have a question for Mindi Abair, or for Eric, for that matter, if you have a wine question, he is the expert. Submit it in the comments section on Facebook or YouTube. We will get to it on air. Also wanted to thank a sponsor real quick. That would be Blue Sound, an award-winning wireless high-res sound system that lets you play music in any and every room throughout your home. You choose music from your favorite streaming service or from a music library connected to your home network, and you control where, at what volume, and when the music plays with a free Blue OS app for your smartphone, tablet, or desktop computer. And that's it, getting the kind of crisp and detailed sound that only an audiophile-grade system can deliver and that every jazz fan deserves has never been easier. You can learn more at bluesound.com or by visiting our website, jazziz.com, where we have put together a Blue Sound buyer's guide. All right, Mindi. So the new album, No Good Deed, is out right now, and it's awesome. I encourage people watching to go buy it. Go buy the real thing, the physical thing. Now's the time, to support your favorite artist by buying the actual merch. But I want to talk about this band a little bit, the Bone Shakers. You said it yourself. It's kind of a bunch of jazz lovers who also love blues and rock and pop and a little bit of everything. When did that band first form?
We got together. I've been friends with Randy Jacobs for, closing in on 25 years. And Randy's just one of my favorite guitar players. And people on the planet. So, you know, at a certain point, he was playing in my band, and all the guys in my band were playing in his band, the Bone Shakers. And so we were playing the same festival at one point, Newport Beach Jazz Festival. And I sat in with the Bone Shakers, and it was so magic. I mean, it was all my guys, but it was music that both of us kind of came up with. It was a little more blues rock. So we started back in, I believe it was the beginning of 2015, I'm guessing, but we did a live record. We had literally played together for 3 days. And the first night that we played together, I had my friend record. And I just said, this band is nuts. You got to just record it. I just want it when I'm 80 years old.
What happens? Yeah.
To come back and say,
yeah,
this band was nuts, and listen to it and smile. So that actually became our first record, which I did not expect.
Right, that was live in Seattle, right?
Live in Seattle.
Live in Seattle.
Bone Shakers, and it was nuts. And I just was like, we're putting this out. I'm sorry. This is kicking us off. So we came out with 4 records, and the last of which is No Good Deed, which we put out last June, I believe. And it's an incredible band, and it was an incredible ride. So, so proud to make music with those guys. So for now, we're not, doing our thing right now, but I've come out with a solo record, as all great bands do. You know, they break up to make solo records sometimes.
That's right. You got to let the bird fly the coop sometime.
I know. You know what? There were so many songs that I had kind of put on the shelf that were maybe too personal or not quite the right thing. I mean, me and the Bone Shakers, it was a lot of muscle, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of just mojo. It was sheer energy. Yeah. And it was incredible. But I wanted to make a solo record that had those songs that were, a little more hippie. And, they went a little more back to my Bonnie Raitt love, or back to, the world would be a better place if, we all loved each other, my hippie roots.
Well, hey, we could certainly use that right now, so that's an important message for the time, for sure.
So it was a fun record to make. Abel Boreal Jr. played drums on it. My drummer, Third Richardson, played drums on it. My band played a part in it. Rodney Lee, who's toured with me 25 years. And Sean Hurley played bass on it. It was an amazing thing. I don't even think Steve Perry. Yeah. My husband's like, Steve Perry? So
you got to mention Steve Perry. Yeah.
I haven't mentioned Steve Perry because the record's not out yet. So I'm not even, you guys are really the first people I've talked to about it. We're trying to figure out when to put it out. But Steve Perry walked in the studio one day and just hung out. I mean, Journey, every hit in the 80s, Steve Perry, Journey, right? And I didn't know him, but he stayed. And he was just the coolest guy on the planet. And at first he was like, you should stack some vocals on that. And I was like, do you want to come in and stack those vocals with me? And he's like, no. But by the end, I mean, he ended up singing with me and Boreal Jr., who was one of my best friends in college, and Melanie Taylor, who I sang with in Aerosmith. And we became the Rainbows. So cool. Rainbows, and we're on about 4 songs on my new record, and I'm still in disbelief that Steve Perry sang on my record.
Yeah, that's incredible. Steve Perry strolls in. It's like playing a pickup game of basketball, and then here comes Michael Jordan. Yeah, Michael, you want to play? I'm cool. Like, did that happen? But yet I'm listening back to the mixes, which we're finishing this next week, and I'm just like, nope, that's Steve Perry. Nope, that. So cool. So we don't know when exactly the new album's coming out, but do we have a name for it yet?
Yeah, I called it Forever. Because I really felt like, I've been a band with the Bone Shakers for the last 5 years. And, we've really been this inseparable thing. But at a certain point, there were these songs that were me. And there were these songs that I really needed to do as an instrumentalist. It's half instrumentals. and half vocals. So it's very even, but I just figured it was me. It wasn't a Bone Shakers record. And so it was fun to put that together. So I called it Mindi Abair forever, because I just feel like at a certain point you come back to yourself and go, okay, this is the lasting thread. This is me through everything. I can take what I've been and what I'm becoming and wrap it all up into one. But, you know, some of the artists I've loved the most over the years have been artists who have morphed and changed, and you go on the journey with them. So I appreciate my people going on the journey with me.
I love that. And we will certainly look forward to that album coming out as well. We'll stay tuned to your website. And if people did want to follow along, where would the best place to do that be?
Definitely go to my website, mindyabair.com.
Okay.
You can get on my email list and you know everything. Facebook is a great place because I post everything on Facebook and Instagram, and it's just constant. And then if you like the music and the wine, then you should go to Reserve Tastings. You should just become a member of our club because we're going to send you cool music and wine. But
totally.
I see a lot of our people. I'm seeing the people come in and out. My neighbor, George Negray, is on. Nick Swartz, who's a member of our club, Laura Matlock. And I'm just seeing all these names go up. I'm like, hey, I know all these people. So this is great. Thanks, guys, for coming out for this. This is fun.
Thank you, everybody. Seriously. I also want to mention, because in between everything else you do, Mindy, you wrote a book. You wrote a book called How to Play Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
Which you have done how many times, by the way?
I've only played Madison Square Garden once. Yeah.
What's one more than I've ever played, and the vast majority of people have ever played. And it's a book about,
isn't it? Like Madison Square Garden. I mean,
it's one more than I've ever played.
Exactly. It's all about confidence and stage presence. And, obviously I encourage people, not just from performing arts backgrounds, but anybody who wants to get into public speaking or presenting, to pick it up and buy it. I don't want to give too much away, but is there one tip that you usually can throw out to people who are totally nervous about doing anything in public that can help get them over that fear?
I think that's a great question. I think as far as the book, I think a lot of people look at certain performers on stage and they just think, well, they've got that it factor. They were just born with that. It's an innate talent. I could never learn that. That is completely wrong. I went to probably the best music school on the planet, and I learned how to play my instrument. I learned how to think about music, the theory, the business of music, how to get an attorney, how to get a record deal, all this stuff. I did not learn, though, how to set yourself up for a live performance or translate what you were as an instrumentalist or a singer to what your live presence would be. But yet that's what I make my living doing. And everyone I know makes their living playing live. So why wouldn't you sit down and take time to kind of hone your live skills and learn what you can and be true to yourself and try to portray that to your audience? Because at a certain point, we can all go out on stage and play a song, but does it connect? And do the audience members feel what you feel, or do they walk away thinking that they connected with you? Because I want to buy a ticket to the band I connected with, not the band that was just like, they were really good. I'm never going to see them again.
Right.
And there are plenty of people that I went to school with or that I saw that I'd see out there and be like, wow, they're amazing musicians, but they couldn't sell a ticket. And there were these people that were not amazing musicians and sold millions of tickets. So I just thought, I got to write this book because I've seen every mistake made on stage. I've made every one of them. But I just watched people and I finally just wrote it down. And this is what I've spent my life doing. It's playing live. So, I'd say if there was one thing to give to people to make them feel more confident, I think sometimes you have to remind yourself before you walk on stage or while you're on stage that you worked to be there. You didn't just land on stage. This didn't happen by chance. There are many ways to get over stage fright, but one is reminding yourself that you worked hard to figure out your craft, to write that song, or to open up your heart enough to be able to sing it to people, that you have to give that its do. You have to give that some reverence and say, wait, I'm meant to be here. I'm supposed to be here. There's a reason. I worked hard for this, and I belong here. So I've got to calm down, and I've got to let the moment pass that I'm freaking out, or that I'm thinking, oh my God, there's more people looking at me than I am happy with, and you have to say, I'm supposed to be here. Like, let me just get through this. But there are many other ways to get through that.
Great advice. And they're in the book. And they're in the book. Yes. How to play Madison Square Garden. So check it out on Mindy's website. All right, Mindy, we're going to finish things up here with a little segment we call Call and Response. You're a blues player. You know all about call and response. These are quick hit questions. I throw a question at you. You give me an answer, and it's just bada bing, bada boom. Then we're going to get to, we have a couple of viewer questions as well. But we are going to go ahead and start things off with the call and response. Okay, Mindy. A song on your iPod that you can listen to all day. If it was on repeat all day, it wouldn't drive you crazy. Which tune is that?
Wow.
Yours or another tune?
Right. Well, it's got to be off. It's got to be off Miles Davis, Kind of Blue. I could listen to that record all day. Probably Freddie the Freeloader off Miles Davis.
Because it's got so many moods. You would never get tired of it. It's just constantly changing. Yeah.
Everyone's solo has a different vibe, and so it brings you to these different places. Yeah.
Yep. Cool. All right. Who is a blues musician that people may not know but need to be listening to more? A blues musician.
Okay. I'm going to give you Sean Amos. Reverend Sean Amos. Look him up. He just put out a new record, and it's called Blue Sky. And I produced his first blues record called The Reverend Sean Amos Loves You. This guy is the real thing. And he grew up, Famous Amos cookies?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh.
Love Famous Amos cookies?
I love Famous Amos cookies. Yeah. Oh, cool. Another famous Floridian. Amos, yes.
Famous Amos, baby.
Very cool.
So Sean is just incredible, and he's inspiring, and he writes about things that I care about and that I relate to. And this new record I had nothing to do with, and I love it. And it just came out during the pandemic, and just check it out. The Reverend Sean Amos. You will.
All right, jotting it down.
You're welcome.
Dig it. Awesome. Thank you. What Aerosmith tune did you just love to play on?
I'll tell you what Aerosmith song I loved to not play on.
Okay. Yeah, that works too.
Was Dream On. I didn't play Dream On, but I would be backstage literally center stage behind Steven and Joe, and just singing every Dream On, Dream On. I just like a fan, and it was the most awesome thing. As far as what song I love to play on Mamakin. I love to play Walking the Dog. Those old Aerosmith tunes, big 10-inch, are like the money Aerosmith. And I think it's what those guys love too. When they play those songs, they play a different way than they play the newer pop stuff. They really they're amazing.
Very cool. All right. Who is, you've played with everybody in the pop world practically during your career. Who's a pop musician that you were surprised was had this super hip jazz knowledge or blues knowledge, and you were just like, whoa, you listen to that?
I gotta say, I'll say a couple people. First of all, John Taylor from Duran Duran. When I did their Comeback to America tour, I got to know him really well. And I was already friends with him. He's played on and written on probably 4 of my CDs. And he's always just been a close friend. He's an incredible musician. And the knowledge that guy has and the way he plays bass, I think he could be discounted as, they had all those pop hits.
Right.
They could only do that. You listen to those bass lines, that guy is a monster. And he's incredible. And he called me. He was doing bass lessons over the pandemic online. And I was like, do I want to play the bass?
I just want to take one just because. Yeah.
Yeah. But another guy that I don't know well, I've only met him once, but just amazes me is Dave Matthews. I don't know who he listened to. I don't know how he figured out what he figured out, but to watch that guy play guitar is like, whoa, what's he doing?
Yeah.
And I can't attribute it to any one person. It's not like, oh, he listened to Wes Montgomery, or oh, he was a Charlie Parker fan, or who the hell knows what this guy was listening to. But the musicality and the chord changes and the creativity is immense to me. And the fact that he'll have a sax player like Jeff Coffin play in his band, and the other musicians in his band, Carter and you know, everyone, Tim Reynolds, they're all just ridiculously amazing musicians, and they go into these epic adventures live that the best jazz bands could only wish they'd go on. This is a more free jazz band than most of the jazz bands out there.
Yeah, no, it's he strikes me as an incredibly open-eared guy. And, you know, we spoke with Jeff Coffin, and I asked him about the jam band scene, and he said, well, what is a jam band? Think about it. John Coltrane playing those 30, 40-minute, you know, single song sets at the Vanguard. That's a jam band too, you know? So yeah, they know their stuff. Very cool. Very cool. All right. We do have a few viewer questions for you, so we can go ahead and pull those up. The internet wants to know. Ken Snow wants to know, have you played much Barry sax? I bet your rock side would be awesome on it. That's a great question, Ken. Any Barry in the arsenal there?
You're going to like this. I used to borrow Doc's Barry from Tower of Power, Doc Kupka.
Yeah,
and
wow.
I used to meet him because I didn't own a Barry, and you know, they were kind of expensive, and I just didn't play that much. So every once in a while I'd need one, and I'd meet him in a parking lot. It was like putting, you know, it was like a drug deal, or, you know, putting a body into my trunk, because they're so big. But I finally bought my own. I bought one through Yamaha because I just love their horns so much. And it is so amazing. It's a silver, you know, custom Z, and it's unbelievable. So on my Christmas record with the Bone Shakers, I actually take a baritone sax solo.
Nice.
And I had the most fun. On the Summer Horns record that I played on, I made a record with Dave Koz, Gerald Albright, and Richard Elliott. We would fight over who got to play the Barry, and I won most of it. And I think they just liked to laugh at me because it was as big as me.
On the ground.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically on the ground. It's huge.
Yeah.
But I love to play the Barry, and I have so much fun. And the last, I don't know, maybe last 5 or 6 records, I've played Barry on all of them. All the horn section stuff is me. But the Christmas album, all I got for Christmas is the blues with me and the Bone Shakers.
You add some bottom.
Oh yeah.
Take it down to the deep end. I love it.
I actually take a solo on it, which is like
Very
the
cool.
level of I love the Barry sax.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Good question. Thank you, Ken. All right. Question number 2. Laura wants to know, for Mindi and Eric. Many people have found they have discovered or rediscovered things they are passionate about while sheltering in place, besides wine and music. Anything you have been doing during this time? A great question. Thank you, Laura.
Okay, well, you gotta tell about your yoga love.
Yeah, we can bring Eric in here too. He's not chopped liver.
Be back in here.
He's back.
I got into yoga. So I have back problems as an older guy. I don't know if this is very sexy. As a 51-year-old man, and I got into yoga, and I do it every morning, and it's the most beautiful, most spiritual, and the most physical thing I've ever done. So yes, Laura, we do a lot of yoga together. So
well, I do less yoga than him, but I'm less the workout girl than he is the workout guy. But I have actually been playing more piano, and that was my first instrument. And when we went shelter in place, I would just sit at the piano and play. And I just realized I didn't have my guys to play with me. Yeah. You know, I'm usually playing along with Rodney on keys. He's been my keyboard player for 19 years. Like he's my brother. And I always have someone to play with. So I just started playing. So we do these Tuesday night Facebook Live shows, and I'll play a little bit of piano and sing, and then play a little sax. And actually we
does some yoga.
I took him out to play guitar on a few things too.
There you go. Very cool.
College.
Well, I played 5 weeks with her, and 10 weeks, whatever it is. And I retired. I'm like Kiss. I just retired. And I'm retired from music, and I'm going back to wine. So
wine and yoga.
A lot of money.
Wine and yoga.
Life. Take me out of retirement, but right now I'm retired.
Out in a blaze of glory. I love it.
And I can touch my toes. So there you go.
Very nice. Yeah, I hope your back's feeling better.
Oh, it's actually a lot better. Thank you.
There you go. Mindi, Eric, this has been an absolute pleasure. Great way to spend Friday night. And, you know, I could think of no better drinking buddies. I'm making it halfway through my Manhattan here.
We started drinking hours before you. So
that's why this went so well.
Wine color has changed. We ran out of
That's right. Got to hydrate. Well, thank you so much. We can recap the new album, the new album, Mindi Abair Forever. That's going to be coming out soon. We'll keep an eye out for that. Mindi Abair and the Bone Shakers' No Good Deed is out right now for streaming and purchase. And I encourage you, go purchase, go pick up the merch, go pick up the album. Now's the time to do it. And reservetastings.com.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know, get some great wine, a great playlist from two experts in the field. Thank you so much for doing this. Last call. I sincerely appreciate it. I'm going to close down the bar here and say goodbye to everyone at home, but I will see you backstage. We can keep drinking.
Absolutely. I'll see you backstage.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Right.
Cheers.
So long. Bye, guys. Thank you so much to Mindi Abair and Eric Ware for talking to us today on The Last Call. That was an absolute treat. Again, the new album out right now is Mindi Abair and the Bone Shakers' No Good Deed. And I guess we got a forthcoming Mindi Abair album to look forward to coming very soon. Check out the new book. Check out the Reserve wine tastings. They're doing a lot of amazing things. This has been The Last Call. I'm going to go finish this drink. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. I will see you next week. Have a great weekend. Bye.